In the illustrious city of Venice, where canals crisscrossed as veins of wealth and commerce flowed like the lifeblood of the Republic, there dwelt a man of great renown and melancholy disposition named Antonio. He was a merchant of considerable wealth and influence, admired for his astute business acumen and esteemed by his friends and peers. Yet, beneath his calm exterior lay a soul troubled by unexplained sadness, as if he carried the weight of the world upon his shoulders. Antonio's closest companion was Bassanio, a young Venetian nobleman known for his wit, charm, and extravagant lifestyle. Despite his noble birth, Bassanio found himself frequently in financial straits due to his proclivity for living beyond his means. His heart was set on a lady of remarkable beauty and wealth named Portia, who resided in Belmont. Determined to win her hand, Bassanio turned to his dear friend Antonio for assistance, seeking a loan to finance his quest for Portia's affection in a manner befitting her station. Antonio, though wealthy, had his assets tied up in various ventures at sea. His ships, laden with goods from distant lands, were his primary source of wealth, yet they were currently at sea, their return uncertain. Despite this, Antonio loved Bassanio like a brother and pledged to help him in any way he could. Aware of his friend's financial predicament, Antonio agreed to borrow money on Bassanio's behalf from a Jewish moneylender named Shylock. Shylock was a complex figure in Venetian society, both feared and begrudgingly respected for his wealth and sharp business acumen. He lived apart from the Christian majority, practicing his faith and adhering strictly to his own code of ethics. Antonio had crossed paths with Shylock many times before, often disparaging him for his practice of usury, which was condemned by Christian doctrine. This history of animosity simmered beneath the surface as Antonio approached Shylock for a loan. When Antonio made his request, Shylock saw an opportunity not only to profit but also to exact a measure of revenge against the merchant who had publicly ridiculed and insulted him. Concealing his intentions behind a veneer of civility, Shylock proposed a bond. He would lend Antonio 3,000 ducats, interest-free, for a period of 3 months. However, if Antonio failed to repay the debt on time, Shylock would be entitled to a pound of Antonio's flesh, to be cut from any part of his body that pleased Shylock. Despite the ominous terms, Antonio, confident in the safe return of his ships and blinded by his desire to help Bassanio, agreed to the bond. The contract was signed and sealed, setting in motion a series of events that would test the limits of friendship, morality, and justice in the vibrant city of Venice. Meanwhile, in Belmont, Portia found herself in a predicament of her own. Her late father, a wealthy and respected nobleman, had devised a test for her suitors before his passing. 3 caskets, one of gold, one of silver, and one of lead, were set forth, each with an inscription hinting at the true test of character. The suitor who chose the casket containing Portia's portrait would win her hand in marriage, while those who chose incorrectly would vow never to marry anyone else. Portia, though admired for her beauty and intelligence, felt trapped by her father's decree. Suitors from far and wide came to vie for her hand, yet none seemed worthy in her eyes. She longed for true love and a companion who would see beyond her wealth and beauty to the depths of her soul. Among Portia's suitors was Bassanio, who had heard tales of her beauty and grace and was determined to win her favor. With Antonio's financial support secured through Shylock's loan, Bassanio set forth to Belmont, accompanied by his loyal friend Gratiano. Along the way, they discussed the nature of wealth, love, and the risks they were willing to take in pursuit of their desires. Back in Venice, news arrived that Antonio's ships, which he had hoped would return laden with riches, were believed to be lost at sea. The city buzzed with rumors of Antonio's financial ruin and impending doom. Shylock, seizing upon the opportunity to exact his revenge, sharpened his resolve to collect the pound of flesh owed to him by Antonio. In Belmont, Bassanio arrived at the splendid estate of Portia, where he was warmly welcomed by her and her loyal servant Nerissa. The tension of his quest weighed heavily upon him as he contemplated the challenge ahead, choosing the correct casket that would reveal Portia's portrait and secure her hand in marriage. Guided by his heart and intuition, Bassanio made his choice, opening the casket to reveal Portia's likeness and winning her hand, much to the delight of all present. Amidst the celebrations in Belmont, news reached Portia and Bassanio of Antonio's plight. Distressed by the danger facing his dear friend, Bassanio resolved to return immediately to Venice to aid Antonio. Despite Portia's reluctance to part from her newly wedded husband, she gave her blessings and devised a plan to accompany Bassanio in disguise, accompanied by Nerissa. Disguised as young male lawyers, Portia and Nerissa arrived in Venice just as the trial of Antonio versus Shylock was about to commence. The Duke of Venice presided over the court, with Shylock steadfast in his demand for the enforcement of the bond. Antonio, resigned to his fate and prepared to give up his flesh to save his friend from further harm, awaited judgment with solemn dignity. Portia, in the guise of the learned lawyer Balthazar, cleverly maneuvered the trial proceedings to expose Shylock's ruthless pursuit of vengeance. She argued eloquently that while Shylock was indeed entitled to his pound of flesh as stipulated in the bond, he must not spill a single drop of Antonio's blood in the process, as it was not included in their agreement. Shylock, confident in the justice of his claim, persisted in his demand, blind to the implications of his actions. As the tension mounted and the court awaited the Duke's ruling, Portia delivered a stunning revelation. She pointed out a legal loophole in Shylock's contract. Since the bond specified a pound of flesh but made no mention of blood, Shylock's pursuit of blood would constitute an act of murder under Venetian law. Overwhelmed by the weight of his own vindictiveness and thwarted by the legal system he had sought to manipulate, Shylock found himself trapped by the very terms of the bond he had devised. The Duke, recognizing the gravity of the situation and moved by Portia's argument, spared Antonio's life but imposed severe penalties upon Shylock. He decreed that Shylock must forfeit half of his wealth to Antonio and the other half to the state, and he must convert to Christianity as a sign of his repentance. Defeated and humiliated, Shylock left the courtroom a broken man, stripped of his wealth, faith, and dignity. His daughter Jessica, who had previously eloped with Lorenzo, a Christian and friend of Antonio and Bassanio, was deeply affected by her father's downfall yet relieved to escape his oppressive household. With justice served and Antonio's life spared, the story culminated in a reunion of friends and loved ones in Belmont. Portia, now revealed in her true identity to Bassanio, celebrated their newfound happiness and the triumph of love over adversity. The bonds of friendship between Antonio, Bassanio, and their circle of companions were reaffirmed, strengthened by the trials they had endured together. Amidst the joyous celebrations, news arrived that Antonio's ships, previously thought lost at sea, had miraculously returned to port, laden with riches beyond imagination. The clouds of uncertainty that had loomed over Venice lifted, replaced by a renewed sense of hope and prosperity. Antonio, grateful for the second chance granted to him by his loyal friends and the twists of fate, embraced Bassanio and Portia, acknowledging the enduring power of love, friendship, and forgiveness. The Merchant of Venice, with its intricate exploration of themes such as love, loyalty, justice, and mercy, continues to captivate audiences and readers alike across centuries. Shakespeare's masterful portrayal of human complexity and moral dilemmas, set against the backdrop of a vibrant and cosmopolitan Venice, invites reflection on the enduring conflicts and aspirations of the human spirit. As the characters navigate the complexities of wealth, prejudice, and personal sacrifice, their journeys resonate as timeless reminders of the triumph of compassion and understanding in the face of adversity.